Hey guys, welcome to this next episode of the King Lincoln Show. Today I want to continue telling you the story of my pathetic, tragic, sad, shitty life. And I want to keep telling you about some of the things that happened to me when I went overseas for the first time. And I basically had a nervous breakdown and became an insane person. So you might remember from the last episode, I was telling you how I went overseas for the first time to England and Europe. And I had all these various pressures on me, all these things I was thinking about and stressing about and whatnot. And I had all these kind of childhood traumas and shit. And I gradually lost my mind and had a kind of nervous breakdown, and I deteriorated mentally, and I was in this awful dissociative state where I was kind of just consumed in like anxious thoughts and a general sense of anxiety and paranoia and dread at all times. And I didn't really feel like I had control of myself, didn't really feel like I had control of my brain or body or even what I would say. And it was very scary and horrible, and it was like I was just watching myself do random bad things without having control over it. So one thing I remember that I used to do was I used to like start shouting out in class and basically like objecting to what the teacher said and basically like taking over the class. Like I remember we had this class on like linguistics or something. And I just remember how I used to like start objecting to everything the teacher said and like saying it was stupid, saying like, oh, breaking down language with all these rules and stuff is like stupid and all this stuff. I can't exactly remember what I was saying, but it was extremely, extremely awkward and uncomfortable for everyone. Um, I was basically like, yeah, taking over the class, being like, no, that's stupid. That's not how it works. Like, just in front of everyone, like, just disrupting the whole class and like taking it over. Um, but like I said before, it wasn't something I really felt like I had control over. Like, I don't actually think from this whole period of like mental illness and mental struggles and being a crazy person, I don't personally think any of my so called decisions count as decisions because I had no control over myself. I didn't feel a sense of control over myself. It was really like I was watching what was happening from far away with no ability to influence it. And it was really scary and horrible. And I still don't 100% know why my brain did that. Um, so another thing that happened, you might remember in a previous episode, I told you about this girl, Stella, who I was all cut up over. And, you know, we had all these dramas and stuff. And then I was going overseas and we didn't know what was going to happen with us and all this stuff. She broke up with me by text not that long after I got to England or Europe. And she started going out with someone else who was in the play that I told you about. I told you about how I was in this play in university. It was another guy who was in the play. And this like really fucked me up really badly because I realized like there's nothing actually that special about you if a girl likes you or a girl goes out with you. Because she was going out with me and then she was going out with this random, when I wasn't there anymore, she started going out with some random guy who like I don't think was like as cool as me or as good looking as me or anything, but it was just another guy who was available. And that's when I started to realize like a girl liking you or something is not really that significant because she just wants to go out with someone and she'll just find someone who kind of uh is kind of good enough and who is around and she wants someone to go out with. And it's not actually that special or meaningful that a girl likes you. And yeah, she started going out with this other guy instead. She said she broke up with me via text. She said, "Oh, we've had all our dramas and stuff, but I've kind of like come to the conclusion that it's not going to work and actually I've met someone else." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I snooped around and found out who it was, and I was like, "It's that fucking prick who is in the play with me." And I was so fucking mad. But that's the conclusion I took from it was like I thought it was so like significant that this girl liked me and stuff. Remember, I was really young and stupid at this time. Now I know all this like is obviously true, but I realized, yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, girls aren't actually looking for like this one person who's like so perfect. They want to go out with someone. They want to be with someone, and they're just gonna look around for whoever's like around in their vicinity, who's available, who you know fits like some basic requirements and stuff. So if a girl likes you or goes out with you, it doesn't mean that much. It's not that significant. It's not that meaningful. It doesn't mean you're the shit or something. Um, yeah. So that was very hurtful. And it wasn't like she stopped going out with me and then, there was a big space until she went out with someone else. As soon as I was gone, not as soon as, but like fairly soon after I was gone, our thing, which was supposedly so like deep and significant, was just over to her and she went straight to someone else. And I don't think they went out really for that long, but yeah, it was stupid. And I was all retarded and dramatic. And soon after I got overseas, before I went to England, when I was still like in other countries and stuff, traveling around, I remember I bought her this necklace. It was like a I forget the name of like the blue jewel. What's a blue jewel? Like a sapphire or something? It's pretty expensive. It was like, I think it was in a different currency, so I can't remember, but it was like over $100, maybe like 150 or $200 or something. And I bought it for her and I wrote her this letter and stuff. And I tried to mail it to her. I think this was on her birthday. I tried to mail it for her birthday. This is when we were still going out before she fucking dumped me. And but I was so stupid and I was already in this like stressed out, frazzled state. This was like soon after I went overseas. I mailed it to her and I was trying to remember her address and I couldn't remember her postcode. And I was like, I didn't look it up properly or like I wasn't sure what it was. I just fucked it up and I sent it without a postcode. I sent it from another country without a fucking postcode. Like, I think it just never got there. And I was just hoping that it would get there. It's so stupid. So I have no idea what happened to that like necklace. It was a really nice necklace and it was quite expensive. But yeah, she never got that. So it's the kind of stupid thing I would do. So you might remember how I said I was all obsessed with all this whacked out crazy theater training that we did for this play with this director from America. I kept trying to replicate that. I went to two different universities in England, and I would try to replicate that um, at those places. Actually, maybe it was only the first one. Um, but yeah, I was trying to like when we were doing rehearsals for our play that we were doing, like at that UK university, I was like trying to trying to make everyone do the stuff that that theater director got us to do. Like I was putting on music and like making it dark and being like, everyone move around and stuff. And everyone was like, what the fuck is going on? And like no one wanted to do it. It was so stupid. And I even tried to like make my own group of just like people who wanted to do theater training. And just like in my spare time, like off my own bat, like yeah, who wants to do theater training? And then I would like have this group that like everyone would do it. And the first time I did it, a bunch of people came, but I was already like deteriorating mentally, and it was really, really bad. It was really, really shit how I did it. And everyone thought it was shit. And then the second one, maybe like one or two people came. And then um yeah, and then I remember I fucked it up so bad. Like this one time, only one girl came, but I fucked up and I didn't get the key for the room that we were like gonna do it in. And I was like, oh shit, like I had this girl with me. I couldn't even open the rehearsal room. I didn't know it would be locked. And I was like, oh no, it looks like we can't do it. Like everything I tried to do was just a mess. Like I was just a mess. I was just a fucking mess. And then yeah, a bunch of times just it was just me and one guy. And once I can't remember exactly what we were doing, some kind of like movement work or maybe like mask work or something. I actually succeeded in getting him really into it, and I got him into this altered state where I can't remember exactly what he was doing. I think he was telling this really trippy story, like he was like moving around and telling this like whole story and stuff. And he really went into like an altered state of consciousness. Like kind of like we did, you know, when we did that mask work and voice work and stuff that with that actual proper theater trainer. So that was pretty cool, but um yeah, even he was like he did it a few times and then he was like, yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. It's not that much fun. Like it's just me, one person. Like what is the point? And yeah, everything I tried to do was so terrible. And it was just like everything I tried to do was just an embarrassment, really. And this is a funny story. Like I didn't really realize, like, cause I was over there. I traveled around at first, like before school started at that university I was supposed to be going to. I traveled around to different countries and stuff. But once school started, I kind of didn't realize that I wouldn't have time to like travel around and stuff anymore. I would just have to stay at school and like go to the classes and stuff. For some reason, I thought I would have time to like do other things. But it's like, no, you're supposed to be attending school. Like, you're supposed to just stay there. But I was like, nah, fuck that. Especially because the school was so shit. Like, the theater at the school was so shit. So, I would like go like on like a 10-day trip to some Buto workshop in like France or something and just be like, yeah, fuck everyone and not attend the school. Because I was like, I don't care about this. Like, I'm over here to do as much of this weird Buto training and theater training as I can. Like, I'm not just staying at a shitty fucking school in England. Um, and we were doing a play in that university, but it was a really crappy play. And I actually got kicked out of the play for not attending. I wasn't attending class enough and they kicked me out. So, but it's really funny with that play. They were doing a play by Harold Pinter, and I'm pretty sure from memory it was called Party Time. I think that's what the play was. But what the play was about was like it's just these people talking at this dinner party type thing. But the whole time there's this subtext of something going on, like kind of underneath. Like no one explicitly states it, but as the play goes on, you start to understand that everyone's kind of like trying to be nice and like respectable at this dinner party or whatever, but there's actually like this regime who's controlling everything and like it's all chaos outside and stuff, but no one's explicitly stating it. They're like trying to yeah, just be nice at this like party and like pretend that everything's all just respectable, but the subtext kind of starts coming in um at certain moments, so you start like figuring out what's really going on. And I was supposed to be this character called Jimmy who comes in at the end and gives this like weird monologue. But yeah, I got kicked out of it. But the funny thing is, I'm 99.999% sure that no one who was doing the play actually understood the subtext of the play. Like, I'm pretty sure they actually just thought it was a play about people at a dinner party. I swear to God. I swear to God, I'm pretty sure they were oblivious to like the whole subtext of like this regime and like, this military rule and all this stuff that's supposed to be going on in the background. I think they just thought they were just like delivering their lines straight, not knowing what anything meant or the subtext of anything, and just thinking, oh, this is a show about it's a play about a dinner party, and for some reason, some weird guy comes in and gives a monologue at the end. And I was supposed to be helping with sound, so I was watching the play from the sound booth, and I wasn't doing anything. I was literally just sitting in the sound booth. Um, and yeah, I'm like, I'm pretty sure they don't know what this play is about. This is awful. And after the play, someone who watched it, probably some parent or someone, was like, "Oh yeah, people are saying that this is one of the best plays this university's put on, like ever." I'm like, "Holy shit! If this is the best one, what's the fucking worst one? Because this is fucking awful." They didn't even know what it was about. So I thought that was funny. I mean, there's a chance I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But yeah. So I didn't really watch the whole play. I wasn't fully concentrating, but yeah, I think that's what happened. So that's pretty funny. But everyone hated me. Like everyone hated me for like shouting out in class and like being this ball of tension and like yeah, taking over the class and be like, no, that's wrong, that's bullshit, that's not good, and like taking over from the teacher and like ruining the class. They hated me for like going off to like different countries to do these workshops and like when I was supposed to be attending rehearsals and attending school. And they hated me because like I would keep going on about like this theater training and like what real good theater is and stuff and all this obnoxious crap and saying that their play was shit and everything that we're doing was shit. Everyone hated me. Like I started like learning what it feels like to be hated. But I didn't really have control over it. That's the thing. Like I remember this one time there was this like shitty little like bar at the university, and like one time like some people went out to the bar and this girl was wearing white and I was saying like, oh, white is not slimming, you should wear black. Like basically like saying she looked fat, but like I couldn't control that stuff. Like I would just blurt stuff out. I didn't have control of my brain. Like I can't stress that enough. Like it's the weirdest and scariest feeling to see yourself doing and saying things and you feel like you don't have control over it. It's just so fucked. So yeah, I got kicked out of the play and all that. Um Now it got way worse than just that. Like I remember this one time, like this is when I think I was already at the second university that I was supposed to be going to. There was like a grocery store not that far from like the uni and like where I was staying and all that. And it's really, you just like get on a bus straight from the university. It's like 5 minutes to the shops, and then you just like get your groceries and go home. It's like the most simplest, like non mission thing possible. But my mind was so frazzled by this point, and I was just so consumed in all these, like, this cloud of anxious thoughts. I was so out of control of myself. I remember I went to the store and I bought all this stuff. I bought all this food. I bought, like, I think blankets and pillows and stuff, and I was carrying this stuff. And I somehow managed to get lost, and I would go into these like almost like fugue state, like a fugue state where I wouldn't know what I was doing or where I was. And it was almost like blacking out. It was almost like I lost time, but I wasn't exactly unconscious. I was just so consumed in these like anxious thoughts and like intrusive thoughts and like this cloud of like anxiety and dread and paranoia. I was just so consumed in that I was like totally out of touch with the real world, like totally out of touch with physical reality. And I just remember like walking and walking and like getting totally lost. And then I kind of almost like woke up or came to, like I kind of like woke up and I was in the middle of a field, like a plowed field, not like grass, but like dirt where they're gonna plant stuff, like a plowed dirt field. And it was next to a freeway, like if you look down, like to the right and down, there was this big freeway. But I was basically in the middle of a farm, like this field, holding all my shopping, holding all my food and blankets and stuff. And I had no fucking idea where I was. I had no idea how I got there. I had no idea where I was. I had no idea how to get back. I had no sense of direction or reference of where I was. And I just started crying because I was realizing like how like desperately out of control I was. And I just had no idea like where I was or what had happened. And that's how far I had deteriorated mentally. And that kind of thing kept happening to me like a lot, like over and over again. It was by no means an isolated incident. Like that's what my life was like in that year. Not at the very start, but that's what it became like. Just stuff like that happening because I was so like just mentally gone, like mentally ill and lost and fucked up. Yeah, and when I wasn't in school, so I guess it must have not when I was first traveling around, but at other times where when I would go to other countries and probably between going to the first school and the second school, and then after being at the second school, I would be in different countries and different cities and stuff, either going to workshops or just like traveling around. And I would just start walking. Like I just start walking around this like random foreign city or town or whatever that I didn't know, that I wasn't familiar with. And I would just be totally consumed in these like anxious thoughts and stuff, like I've been saying. And similar to the previous story I just told, I would just get totally lost. Like it wouldn't occur to me that I needed to look where I was going and I needed to find a way back and all this stuff. I was just so consumed in these like crazy thoughts and this like cloud of anxiety that I would just walk and walk and walk like all day till it was dark. And then I would just suddenly realize I had no idea where I was, no idea how to get back, like no idea where I was going to sleep. And I was just lost. I was just fucked. And then I like would totally panic and freak out. And sometimes I would have a hostel, but other times I was so out of it. I was so like disorganized and stuff. that I wouldn't even have anywhere to sleep. And it wasn't that I had no money, I still had money in the bank. But, and by the way, yeah, I didn't work. The whole time I was over there, I didn't work. I just had savings and I got a grant from my university for going over there as well. But it was enough money to survive. Well, it was supposed to be just like 6 months that I was supposed to be over there. It was plenty for that. But yeah, I ended up stretching it out for a whole year, which I wasn't supposed to do. But yeah, I still had money at this point. But sometimes I just wouldn't even book a hostel or anywhere to sleep. Like I was just that out of it, that like disorganized and crazy. And yeah, I would have nowhere to sleep. Either that or I would just walk around randomly and get totally lost and not know where I was. I wouldn't know how to get back to my hostel or my not hotel, yeah, but hostel. Um, and I would just be like panicking and crying and stuff. And yeah, I actually like slept on the street sometimes. I was like homeless because either yeah, I just hadn't booked anywhere to sleep. I hadn't figured it out, or I had got so totally lost that I didn't know where the place was that I was supposed to be staying. So yeah, I remember in I'm pretty sure in Paris I slept on the street like in a park. Um and I remember after I did this one workshop, it was actually a really good workshop, but afterwards, I didn't make my arrangements properly to go to the next place or whatever. And I could have just gone back to the place where the workshop was and being like, hey, I forgot to book like flights and hostels and stuff. Can I like stay here another night or whatever? But I just thought that was too awkward. That's that's how fucked up my social skills were. I'm like, oh, that's too awkward. Because I've just said goodbye to everyone and stuff. I've just said goodbye to the people. So I was actually walking around that town. That this was in Italy, and I found like there was a road bridge, like just like a overpass thing, and underneath there was like a little like bundle, like a bed, like some blankets and stuff, where a homeless person had slept. And I just slept there, like under this overpass, under this road bridge, hoping that this homeless person didn't come back and try to sleep in their little bed that they'd made. And I just slept there, and it was really bad. Like all the cars were passing over me, and like I couldn't get any sleep. But yeah, and that wasn't because of not having any money. It wasn't, it was just because of being mentally retarded. Like it's just because of being crazy. Yeah, I remember another time I slept on the street. It was I think it was a different place in Italy. And I'm pretty sure I just couldn't find my hostel. And yeah, I just slept like in a park, like inside of the hedges in a park. And I remember I woke up to this like snuffling noise. I was like, what is that? And it was actually a hedgehog, like just waddling past me in these hedges, um, which was kind of cute, but yeah, I was totally out of control. And yeah, there were a bunch of other times that I slept on the street. I remember there was this one time, like I had this really weird thing about wanting to get rid of all my stuff, and I don't know why. It was this weird obsession, and I can't remember where I was. It might have still been somewhere in Italy, but um, for some weird reason, like I just had one bag of stuff. I had hardly any stuff, and I just left my stuff somewhere, like in some random place. Like I think it was on top of some lockers at like a train station or something. I left my bag. I left all my stuff. I just kept. I was wearing like some shorts, and I think that's it. Maybe I had some shoes. I didn't even have a shirt, I'm pretty sure. And maybe I had my passport or something. Maybe I had my wallet and my passport or something like that. But I had in my fucked up, whacked out brain, I had this obsession with like getting rid of everything, like getting rid of all my belongings and possessions and stuff. And in hindsight, this is so like dangerous and crazy. But yeah, and then I was just it was like this fun holiday spot in like Italy or somewhere like that. And it was like summer and everyone was like having fun and going to the beach and stuff. And I was just doing my insane shit, like fucking walking around, like being all anxious, like not knowing where I was, looking weird. And I actually that night I actually slept like you know what an island is, like when there's like a roundabout, like there's a big roundabout, like you know there's the roads and there's like a big roundabout, and then there's the bit in the middle of the roundabout which has some trees and like bushes and stuff, like that's called the island. I slept in one of those. Like I slept in the middle of a roundabout where there was some bushes and stuff. Full on insane person, like full on wild person. I just slept there and it was like, yeah, I can't really remember. I think it was just fucking horrible. And I didn't have any stuff, like nothing. Just slept on like mud and dirt and like in bushes. It was absolutely crazy. I had totally lost my mind. So yeah. Um, I remember this other time. This is when I think it must have been at the first university I was at. I was still really obsessed with all this Fitzmaurice voice work stuff. And I must have realized that I couldn't do it in my room. Like, I couldn't have everyone like hearing me scream and cry and like carry on in my room. And I later realized that you don't really have to do that to do Fitzmaurice voice work. Like, all the other trainers that I worked with did a much milder version of it than how I first learned it. And I also think that, like, when you don't know what to expect from it, that stuff can be like an emotional release type thing. But I think if you keep doing it, like, it can get to the point where you're kind of expecting that to happen. You're kind of expecting to scream and cry and stuff. So it can become not real anymore. It can become like a performance or just like you start doing it because you expect to do it type thing. I think if you were really doing it the proper way, now and then that would happen, but a lot of the time it wouldn't. You know, you would just be like tremoring your breath, like tremoring your voice, but you wouldn't have a big emotional, like screaming, crying thing going on. So I think maybe it does become kind of like, yeah, kind of like you just do it because you're expecting to do it. It's like you're performing it. So kind of over the road from the university, there was kind of like just like some grassland or like an oval. And then there was a kind of swampy, like foresty, swampy kind of place. And I went there like at the dead of night to do this. It's so insane to do this Fitzmaurice voice work. And like in my fucked up brain, it was very important that I did this stuff. I had this weird idea that it was super, super important that I did all this stupid theater training, this Fitzmaurice voice work, this mask work, all this stuff. I thought that I couldn't progress without doing that. Like I had to do it to develop as a person and to become some kind of amazing theater guy or something. Just for some reason, I thought it was extremely important that I did that. And I seem to think it was the only way I could progress with like getting my emotions out and, progressing forward with that kind of sort of development or whatever. Which I now realize is total bullshit. And I wasn't really even doing that. I was just doing some crazy shit. Um, but anyway, it was the dead of night. I went into this swampy place, and I was gonna do Fitzmaurice's voice work there, do all my stupid, crazy screaming and crying. And I remember, like, oh, so awful. There was no one around, as far as I can tell. Like, it was totally deserted, this like swamp area. But I remember like yelling out into the night, like, if anyone's listening, I have to do this. Or like some just fucking retarded, crazy, stupid shit like that. And then I started doing my stupid screaming and crying shit. But then I don't know if this is real or not, but I feel like I heard like an engine, like a car or a motorbike or something. And it was probably totally unrelated to me. It was probably just someone like riding a motorbike somewhere or something. But I started getting all paranoid that it was like someone was gonna come and get me and like think I was doing something bad or trespassing or something. So I ran away. I ran out of the swamp, and I was like hearing this motorbike or whatever, and I was all like, oh no, like all paranoid and panicky. And I ran back into the streets and then the campus, like hoping no one saw me. And I was like looking around at everyone. And I was totally fucked in the head. Like I was totally paranoid. I was looking at like all these normal families and stuff, because I think I had become light by this time. And they were like, yeah, just, it was the morning, going about their business and stuff. And I was like looking at them like as if they were gonna do something bad to me or something, which obviously they weren't. It was all in my head. Like all this shit was in my head. Yeah, so total mental illness stuff. It was totally fucking fucked. Who even wants to go out into the fucking mud in a swamp and yell and cry? Like, why is that important? It's fucking not. I was just so fucked in the head, man. And I now realize, like, I was all obsessed with all this stuff I thought I had to do. But you don't have to do any of that. Like, what do you really want to do? If you want to become calmer, or, you know, like you want to develop yourself as a person or whatever, or you want to be an amazing theater person, whatever it is, you don't really need to do any of that. Like, if you want to become like calm and balanced, you don't go out to a fucking swamp and like scream and cry and like thrash around on the floor in the fucking mud. You can just do meditation or something. Like, I could have just sat in my room and meditated, and that would have been 1,000 times better. No one would have thought I was killing myself. I wouldn't have to go out to a swamp in the middle of the night. I would have just like sat on my bed and meditated and felt so calm and wonderful, and then gone out and been a normal person, you know? If you want an outlet, just like go to the gym, go work out, go for a run, you know? Like, you don't need to be so fucking retarded and weird. Like, it's not important at all, but I don't know. Just weird stuff was happening in my mind. I didn't have control over it, and it's just all extremely regrettable, but it happened. So I also remember that this is so awful, but I started getting obsessed with eating out of bins. Can't believe I'm even saying it. It's so fucked up. But yeah. So I had all these weird ideas about like diets and stuff. And at one point I kept eating like raw meat and stuff. Like all I'd allow myself to eat would be like raw meat and like lettuce and stuff. I don't know where I read that was a good idea. I was reading all this fucked up stuff on the internet. But yeah, I was doing that, and obviously I felt fucking horrible. And I was like way underweight. I was fucking starving myself and all this. But then I would just like go crazy and get so hungry. And I remember once I ate like a burnt piece of pizza that someone had thrown in the bin at my university, like in the dorms. So we had like a little kitchen, and yeah, they'd thrown that out, and I like fished it out of the bin and ate it. Oh my God. And and then I remember it was nighttime at the university. I think it was the first university that I went to. Yeah, I think the first one, maybe the second one. I can't remember, but there was like a skip bin. You know what a skip bin is? It's like a big bin, like where if you move house and you throw a lot of stuff out or you do renovations, you have these big bins. There was this big bin outside. I'm not sure why. Maybe people were moving out or something outside of our dorms. And I was like rummaging through the bin. I don't know why. I was just having a look. I was I was acting like a homeless person without even being homeless and still having thousands of dollars in the bank and having a place to live. But I was already, for some reason, I was just acting like a homeless person. So I was rummaging through this like big bin. And then I heard someone being like, "Oh my God, it's a tramp. Hey, tramp." And I like ran away. I ran away and I went back into my dorm and they go, "Oh my God, he lives there. That's the guy that lives there." And I was like so embarrassed and ashamed and like, "Oh, they're going to figure out who I am." But I mean, I don't really think looking in a bin is that bad, but I would always do all these really like bad and embarrassing and stupid things. And then because I couldn't control myself, I couldn't like get myself to not do it. And then I'd be all anxious and paranoid that someone is going to figure it out. Someone was going to like see me or like like accost me for it or something. But yeah, and then later too, like it actually kind of like almost like got me off to find food in bins and eat it. It was so fucked up. This was a later development, like kind of like closer to when I was gonna leave. But yeah, I remember I found because I was forcing myself to like hardly eat anything and only eat these particular disgusting things. But then yeah, I would like find food in bins and stuff. It's totally insane. I remember I like rummaged through a dumpster behind some kind of cafe or club or something. And I found like this like creamy cake. And I was like, "Oh my God." And I was like eating his fucking remains of this creamy cake um, from this fucking dumpster. But then I was like, "Oh, this bit is bad." And it was like coffee grounds. There was all like coffee grounds mixed into it. It was all like bitter and disgusting, and I had to like, yeah, stop eating it. Oh, it was so awful. Oh, it's so bad. So yeah, this is the kind of stuff I got up to in my fucked up state. So being mentally ill is not fun. So this other time, uh, so like I said, and I hate talking about this, but yeah, I became obsessed with eating raw meat. And I remember I bought like a big piece of pork, like a big, I don't know what you call it, but like a big joint of pork with like the rind over it. And I left it in my room, like not in a fridge or anything, just in my dorm room at the university. And I just left it there and I went away for like a few days. And when I came back, I totally forgot about it. And when I came back, I'm pretty sure I heard people like saying something about like the smell in the dorm or something. Um, I'm not sure if I'm misremembering that, but anyway, when I went into my room, I opened the door to my room and I instantly hear this like bzzz, and it was like all these flies like all over this piece of pork. I was like, "Oh my God." like the whole thing was black, like covered in flies. And as soon as I came in, they just like went everywhere. And I just totally forgotten that I had this like fucking rotting piece of meat just like sitting there in my room. And I'd been away for like days and just fucking left it there. Where like everyone else in the dorms like has to live like just down the hall and shit. I can't actually remember what happened to all those flies. Like, I'm sure it had some kind of window. I don't know if I could have let them out the window or what. I don't remember what happened afterwards, but yeah. So yeah, I was just like, I had lost all ability to take care of myself. I lost all ability to like control myself, monitor myself, anything. It was all just fucking gone. And you might remember I told you I first went over there with my friend Warren. And I was there, like we traveled around together at the beginning. And then he went to try to be a theater director and work in London. And I went to a university like kind of a bit out of London. But I did go to London sometimes. And I did go back and visit him and stay with him a few times. So I kept seeing him like while we were there. And I remember I went to see him in London, like after I hadn't seen him for like a long time. And yeah, I think he was shocked to see me because I'd gotten so crazy thin. And I was talking about like how I wanted to be thin and all this stuff, all this eating disorder stuff. I was like telling him. And he said I looked like a starving African child. And he was right. He was right. Like when I went over there, I was like muscly. I had big biceps. I had like a six pack and everything. Not as big or shredded as some full on bodybuilders, but I was that kind of muscly guy or whatever. And yeah, by that time, my fucking ribs were sticking out. Like my ribs were sticking out. My face was all like gaunt and drawn. All these veins were sticking out on my head. Yeah, I looked like a fucking skeleton. And it actually turns out that Warren is gay, and he was telling me about how he was gay. And yeah, I was staying at his house, and he was living in this like little attic in a little house in London with some housemates. But he just had this little attic. And I think we're actually like lying, like he only had one bed. So we're just like sharing the bed. And I'm pretty sure that's when he told me he was gay. uh, and he made this comment before he like explicitly told me he was gay. Um, he said something about like having cold showers, like, oh, cold showers for me then, or something like that. And I was like, what, do you only have a limited amount of hot water here? But what he meant was like me staying there was going to make him horny or something. Cold showers in that sense. But it totally went over my head. But yeah, then I'm pretty sure it was when we're actually lying in bed together. Not in a gay way. I mean, I didn't think it was in a gay way. I thought it was just because like he only had this one bed in this little attic to sleep. He said that he was gay. And I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, I think I might sleep on the floor. It was really weird. But then I was totally insane by that point. And I think he was probably shocked to see how I had deteriorated and also become, like he said, like a starving African child. And I remember after he went to sleep, I had these like balls of raw mince, and I was like eating this raw beef mince out of my backpack that had been like, just like I'd been walking around with it all day. And then I got totally naked, and he had like a skylight. Is that what you call it? Like where you can open up the roof of the attic and like go outside and sit on the roof. So I sat totally naked out on the roof, like on top of his little attic. And I was just like looking out over London, like looking at the sky, looking at stars and the stars, and just like wondering about my fucked up life. It was actually like a kind of like calm little moment, but yeah, I think I was just thinking about, why am I so fucked now? Like, why am I so fucked up? One thing I forgot to tell you, I told you about how I used to just like randomly walk around different cities and I would forget where I was. I would do other kind of worse stuff too. I remember one time, I have no idea why I thought this was a good idea, but I was just randomly like walking around and there was like this like warehouse place, like a like a business, like with a big warehouse and there's like forklifts and stuff. And it was nighttime. One of the doors was open and I just walked in. Like I just walked into this like hallway of this like big warehouse place. I just started like walking in and walking around. And then there were these two workers who just saw me, and then one of them like panicked and was like, oh my God, this is why I say we always have to lock the doors. And I was just like panicked, like scared. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then I just like ran out. And I would do stuff like that. I have no idea why I did it. Obviously, it's just like a stupid idea to just trespass on some business. But I didn't have control of myself and my mind was not in a right state. So I would just do random shit like that all the time. And I didn't feel like I had control of it. And yeah, it was just fucking awful. I also remember a similar time. I was in somewhere in Italy and I was supposed to just be like taking a hike, like walking from one place to another. But I ended up like climbing up this really dangerous like rock face. I was like climbing up, and I don't know why I was doing it. And it was really dangerous. I could have fucking fallen, like broken my shit. And this like Italian like farmer or something saw me and was all like, property Buddha, property boo. And I was like all panicking and like, almost falling because he was like, he's probably saying in Italian, what the fuck you doing up there? You're gonna fucking break your neck, you retarded cunt. But I was getting all scared and then like I managed to find my way down. And then I couldn't find my way back to the path. And I remember like there was this whole like kind of like field of like bushes and thistles and thorns and stuff. I don't really know what it was, but it was underneath this rock face. And I basically had to crawl through it. I crawled through all these thorns and thistles and stuff to get back to, somewhere where you can walk normally and like find your way back to wherever you're going. And I'm pretty sure the path was like, if I was like sane, I could have just found the path, but I wasn't. So ended up getting scratched up by all these like thorns, like swimming through this sea of fucking thorns and nettles and shit. So much fun. So much fun being a fucking insane person. And like I said, I became obsessed with trying to extend my stay. I was only supposed to be over there for one semester of school plus some traveling around. And I extended it to a year by extending my going to a different university for another semester and extending my trip. And like I said before, I think this was because of this subconscious fear of going home and, being in the house with my dad again and being in that toxic, like, environment from my childhood. Doesn't really make sense. It's not rational, but it's like, yeah, this kind of subconscious fear that you get when you have a fucked up childhood. So even after my second semester over there was no way for me to extend my student visa anymore or anything. But I was still trying to find a way to not have to go home. And I had changed my plane ticket for I'd extended my plane ticket, so I was supposed to be going home in 1 year as opposed to 6 months. But I was still trying to find a way to stay over there. And I was in London one time watching some buskers, like some street performers. And this old dude comes up to me. This old kind of disheveled dude comes up to me and starts talking to me. I can't actually remember his name, but let's just call him Colin. And the weird thing about me at that time also was I was extremely impressionable. I would just say yes to the most crazy random stuff. And he I think he just got me to hang out with him. It was just said hello and stuff and was like, oh, you want to come hang out with me? This disheveled old English dude. And I was just yes, because I would just say yes to anything. It was part of my mental retardation. And he turns out that he was a drunk. And it was basically almost like a homeless drunk. Not quite homeless, but a disheveled ex-convict drunk guy. This was the kind of person that was attracted to me. Not attracted, but this is the kind of person that was drawn to me at this time, because fucked up people are drawn to each other somehow. So he basically just got money off me. He was like, oh, can I borrow some money to get some beer? And he would just I would just be like, yes, give him money. And then he'd go buy drinks. And it was just telling me all this stuff and telling me all these grandiose stories that I'm sure weren't actually true. And he was like, you should come visit me in Brighton, I think it was. So I actually did. And he was like, oh, I can get you a job at this festivals or some shit. And I was like, oh, this will be a way that I can stay here, that I won't have to go home. I don't know if I was consciously thinking that, but that is kind of what I was thinking at the back of my mind. And he was like, oh yeah, I'll give you the key to my place, and I'm not always there. You can stay in my place and you can work at these festivals and stuff. I think he even said he could help me get a work visa or whatever. And I was like, oh man, that sounds awesome. But it turned out all to be bullshit. But I did go and visit him in Brighton, and I stayed at his shitty little apartment house. And he introduced me to all his crazy ex-convict friends. And I remember he introduced me to this one friend, and his friend showed me all these scars on his wrists of how he tried to commit suicide. And this was serious stuff. This wasn't little teenage stuff. This was this guy had carved himself the fuck up. His whole forearms were so much scar tissue. I was like, oh, holy shit. And yeah, he told me all these grandiose stories, this Colin guy, about how awesome it would be if I came to Brighton, and how he could get me a work visa. He'd get me work at these festivals and stuff. What it turns out was I just stayed in his house. It was shitty. We'd just kind of walk around and hang around. And then he bum money off me to buy drinks and just day drink, sitting on a bench. And then I go around by myself, kind of exploring. But I just went to the most shitty, nothing happening, places. Just just random shitty suburbs and stuff. If you're going overseas, you should go to Paris, see the Eiffel Tower, go to Rome and see the fucking Vatican and the Sistine Chapel and stuff like that. Go to the south of France, or go to Greece and go to the beaches and go to these cool little restaurants and stuff. that's what you should be doing. But I was just like off my fucking nana. And I was just walking around these random dingy suburbs around, the south of London or wherever that Brighton place is. And it was just shit. I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and I remember I would actually kind of collapse from exhaustion from not eating and just eating random things like raw frozen prawns and stuff. And I remember I was so cold because I had no like hot food or anything. I put on all these sweaters and jumpers and like beanies that he gave me, and I was just walking around by myself, and I basically collapsed on the floor, and I was just like almost like passed out on the floor, like next to all these like nice, respectable people who were like just going to the beach and going around. And I remember some kid being like, "Oh, what's wrong with that guy, daddy?" And the dad was like using me as like a cautionary tale, like, "Oh, that's what happens if you blah, blah, blah." Like, I don't know what he was saying, if he thought I was on drugs or what, but no, I was just collapsed because had an eating disorder and I was exhausted and mentally ill. So that was a true story. But yeah, I went around, I ate out of a lot of bins and stuff. And at first that guy liked me, we were like mates, but when he figured out about all my like raw meat eating things, like that's all he could think about. And he was like, "You're crazy." Like, um, and yeah, I met his little ratty little redhead son and stuff, and some of his friends, and I never got to work at the festivals. Um, he never got me a work visa or anything. It all turned out to be bullshit. His son told me that he's promised like tons and tons of people the same thing. He did actually give me a key to his apartment. He had a key made for me, so that's one thing he did for me. But I'd already figured out like he was full of shit by that time. He was just, one of those people who exaggerate everything, and like I don't know how much money he got out of me for just like drinks and stuff, beers and stuff. And he was like, "You got to take me out. You got to take me to like a restaurant, like to say thanks for having me or whatever." I was like, "No, I only eat raw foods and stuff." And I never did it. And he was all mad over that. And we're kind of sick of each other by the end of it. But that's the kind of stupid thing I would do and that I would think was a good idea. And on one of the last nights I was there, he was all sick. And we were hanging out like at night time. And he was with some some gross woman who he used to be with or whatever, and his son was there, and he started vomiting, and I was like, "Oh my God." And he was like, "I won't lie to you, Lincoln, I've actually taken heroin." And I was like, "Oh, Jesus." And yeah, it was pretty bleak, pretty fucking bleak. So anyway, lots of different stuff happened over there. Um, I might tell you more stories kind of here and there as I think of them, but that gives you kind of an impression of how mentally fucked up I was and some of the stuff I went through and how it was. But when I was going home, I did actually finally run out of money. So on the last day I was there, I only had $16 in my bank account. And I had this plane ticket to go home. And it was about a year, maybe it was exactly a year after I had left. I had this plane ticket, and I thought, like, at first I didn't realize how fucked up I was, but by that time I had realized, Lincoln, you're fucked in the head. Like, you're fucked. So I thought to myself, like, I gotta get to the airport and I gotta get on that plane. Otherwise, I could fucking die here. And I don't think that was an exaggeration at all. I think that like if I stayed over there, if I missed that flight, I might have actually died on the street somewhere. And yeah, I actually didn't have any money. I had $16 and that was it. So on the day I was due to fly out, I don't remember what time my flight was, but I went straight to the airport like in the morning and I just sat in the same chair the whole fucking day. Like my flight was probably in the afternoon or some shit. I got there in the morning. I sat in like one chair and I just said to myself, you're not allowed to move from this spot. Because if you go all crazy and you go off on a tangent and you go walking around and wandering around and being retarded and getting lost, you might miss this flight and you have no money. You have no way to get back to Australia. You don't have the presence of mind to call anyone or get help or anything like that. You're fucked. So you've got to catch this flight. So I just got there in the morning. I sat in the same fucking chair the whole entire time and I got on the flight and I managed to get home. So yeah. So I survived. I didn't fucking die. But it was extremely fucked up. And even now I'm thinking of a few more stories that I might tell you at some time, but that at least gives you an impression of how fucked up I got and what it was like for me. Yeah, next time I'll probably tell you about like my parents and my family's reaction when I got back and some of the stuff that happened afterwards, because it didn't all just get better. Like I didn't just get back to my right mind quickly. Like for years and years, I kept struggling with this, this anxiety shit, this paranoia shit, this eating disorder shit, and this general like craziness, insanity shit for years and years. And it really did ruin my life. Like it fucked my whole life up. And I don't have all that anxiety and craziness anymore, but I'm still dealing with the fallout from those years. And like, if that stuff didn't happen to me, I know my life would be entirely different, but that's what happened. So yeah, some crazy stories for you. I hope you found it interesting at least. Thanks heaps for listening, and I'll talk to you again next time.